Good evening, baseball fans. This is not a Pirates broadcast on WZKY. This is an Inside the Clubhouse. And if you guys aren't familiar with Inside the Clubhouse, this is basically something I did a few episodes of in the Astros franchise, and I'm going to be doing a bit more of them for the Pirates franchise. And it's basically every month or so, probably every month or 2 months, I'll be doing it for this franchise. I go into the franchise, and I basically just give you guys a rundown of what's been going on, who are the league leaders, what's going on around the league, who I've got in the organization, how guys in the minor leagues are doing, prospects, what my plans are for certain players, if I'm thinking about trading anyone, if I'm thinking about trading for anyone, if I'm thinking about signing anyone in free agency, any of that I'm thinking about, any of that people who love that kind of stuff, this is your type of video. Or if you just like hearing about franchises, this is your type of video. And that's basically what's going to be happening in this Inside the Buccos Clubhouse video. So first things first, we are currently sitting at first place in the National League Central. We have a 2.5 game lead over the Brewers and a 3.5 game lead over the Cardinals, currently sitting at 20-11. Our run differential isn't very good. It's not Oakland A's status run differential. We've scored 112 and we've allowed 107, so it's not the greatest. We played a lot of division games in the first month. We pretty much dominated those games. That's probably why we're on the top. We're 17-9 in the division, 11-6 at home, 9-5 on the road. So we pretty much dominated the division, and that's pretty much why. You'll see in the last 10, we're only 5-5, not playing our greatest baseball. We're still playing first place baseball. And as for who's hot on the Buccos, as of right now, we currently have Andrew McCutchen, who is our hottest hitter. He is hitting .305 with 15 hits, 3 home runs, and 6 RBIs in his last 10 games. Pedro Alvarez with 11 hits, .297, 4 home runs, and 12 RBIs in his last 10 games. Russell Martin's been on the decline his last 10 games. Not decline, but he's been struggling. Same with Eduardo Nunez and Josh Harrison. They have not been hitting too well. Josh Harrison mainly because he's only had a few at-bats. He hasn't played too much because I just recently put him back in the lineup once I called up this man, Gregory Polanco, who's hitting .371 with 13 hits, 2 home runs, and 6 RBIs in his last 10 games. And that is very good for a guy who I just called up, a guy who is a 22-year-old rookie. You guys saw in yesterday's video that his major league debut, his first ever at bat, was an inside the park home run. And for our pitchers, we've only got 2 on here. We've got Francisco Liriano, who is 1-1 in his last 10 with a 3.68 ERA and 28 strikeouts. He is the top of rotation, even though he's not the best overall starter, but I have him as the #1 guy. And then Charlie Morton. It seems like Charlie Morton, whenever I pitch with him in-game, I do well, and I haven't simmed a few games, but I've simmed quite a few of his games, as you can see, because when I pitch with him in-game, he does well, but when he sims, well, the Jersey native does not pitch well. 0-3 with an 8.53 in his last 10. Not good at all. Now for the National League league leaders. There you see, since still we are just at the beginning of the first month of May, of the second month, that is, of the season, May, that means the guys are going to have ridiculously high averages, like Miguel Montero with his .373, Ramirez with his .371. Number 7 is our very own Kutch at .336, very respectable. Hits, we've got Kutch with 39, making him 5th. And then for home runs, we've got Pedro Alvarez, number 2, Plouffe, McCutchen, both with 7 at number 4. But the big thing here that I just saw just a few minutes ago when I pulled up this stuff before I started recording is Darren Ruff is having a great year. .284, 13 home runs, and 35 RBIs. We'll see if he'll be able to keep that up, as he's only a 73 overall, and he's not someone you would expect to be doing that. But if he gets the opportunities, he's taking advantage of them. So we'll see as the season goes on if he's able to continue playing at that level. He's currently leading the league in RBIs as well with 35. We've got Alvarez with 25 at the 4th spot. Runs is Andrew McCutchen tied with Paul Goldschmidt. Goldilocks from the Diamondbacks, Huff's there as well. Stolen bases, this is where things get interesting, because we got Starling Marte, who is hitting awful for me. He's hitting 210. He barely gets on base. But what he does, he swipes those bags with those 10 stolen bases. McCutchen has 9. He doesn't have the best speed in this game, only a 74. Which I think is extremely underrated, because Andrew McCutchen is a very fast man in real life. I'd say it's probably about mid-80s, but MLB The Show thinks it's a 74, so he's a 74. Another thing I wanted to show you is that tied for first in wins is our relief pitcher, long reliever, Vance Worley. We don't have a spot for him in the rotation right now, but if Charlie Morton keeps pitching at the level he's pitching at right now, Vance Worley is the next man to go into the rotation, because he's 6-0 with a 3.13 ERA coming out of the bullpen, and he is definitely capable of starting with a 79 stamina. And then saves, we've got Melanson with 9. ERA, we've got Volquez with a 2.45, who's been very solid for me. And then even for strikeouts, Liriano is here with 46 in the 4th spot. Nowhere near Strasburg and Hernandez. Well, kind of near Hernandez, but nowhere near Strasburg. But he's not near Fernandez. Now, a big thing that I've changed with this lineup is I've been watching Pirates games. Not watching, but I've been listening to a few Pirates games. I've been paying attention to what their team's been doing as of late. I did pay attention somewhat to what their team does before I started doing this Pirates franchise, because I like their team, but I've recently started picking up watching a lot more of their, or listening to a lot more of their games, following their games, and one thing that I've noticed about this Pirates team is that literally no one except for Andrew McCutchen and Russell Martin are solidified starters on this team. Their lineup is pretty much every day it's different. Josh Harrison will play left one game, he'll play right the next game, he'll play second one game, he'll play third the next game. Neil Walker won't play one game, he'll play the next game. Pedro Alvarez will be on the bench one game, he plays the next game. Ike Davis will play first, then it's Gabby Sanchez playing first. I don't have him anymore, obviously, but then even in right field, Gregory Polanco won't play. Sometimes it'll be just Travis Snyder. They have guys playing all over the place, and the lineup is never the same. But for me, what I have is right-handed pitchers, because Starling Marte is, to put it quite bluntly, he's awful against right-handers. And he doesn't get on base for me, he's not hitting well. Only 210, like I said. So against lefties he plays, but against righties I have Mr. J. Hay leading off for me. And then we've got Neil Walker, McCutchen, Alvarez. Ike Davis plays against right-handers because, well, his bat against right-handers is amazing. And even though he's awful in the field, that bat is just something that I cannot have out of the lineup. Gregory Polanco, like I said, he plays against righties and lefties for me because he's Gregory Polanco and he's amazing. Russell Martin has been struggling, but he's still there. He's a very solid defensive catcher, as he still comes up with a hit here and there, so he's the guy that I can't keep out of the lineup. Jordy Mercer, as well with Neil Walker, have been struggling for me. Against righties and lefties, I swap Neil Walker and Jordy Mercer in the lineup. As you can see right here, against righties, it's Neil Walker in the 2nd spot and Jordy Mercer in the 8th. And then against lefties, it changes a bit because we got Marte leading off, Harrison's on the bench, Mercer's batting 2nd, and Neil Walker's batting 8th because their contacts dramatically increase, because Mercer's an 86 versus lefties, and Walker's a 70 versus righties, so I just put the guy at the better contact at 2nd spot. And like Marte with an 84, he leads off because he gets lefties but not righties. And nothing really changes too much for anything else besides Trevor Plouffe playing first. Kutch and Alvarez are still 3 and 4. Plouffe is the 5th hitter, plays first base versus lefties because look at that contact and power. You can't leave that out of the lineup, and I got him because he's an upgrade from Trevor Plouffe, and he can play pretty much everywhere. He can play first, second, third, short, left, and right, and you can't just not have a guy like that. It's always a necessity. It's always a nice piece to have on your team. Then we've got Russell Martin because he has good power. Contact's not really there. Then I play Franklin Gutierrez. He's the starter in the lineups because against lefties he's amazing. He's not amazing, but he's got 67 contact, 59 power, and his fielding is ridiculous. But Polanco plays against righties, Gutierrez against lefties when I sim, but I pretty much just put Polanco in against lefties when I play the games, just because I love playing with Polanco. But Gutierrez is the better guy to have for simming, in my opinion, so I leave him in there in the left-handed pitchers lineup in right field. And then, like I said, Neil Walker is 8th. As with the pitching rotation, we've got Francisco Liriano's #1 guy, 1-1 with a 2.93. He's had a lot of no decisions. Garrett Cole, 1-1 with a 3.32. Once again, more no decisions. Charlie Morton he's 1-3 with a 4.55. You guys saw he has an 8 ERA in his last 10 games, which is probably like his last 3 starts. So he's been struggling. And then Jeff Locke is good for me, 1-0 with a 2.67. Edison Volquez is lights out for me. I love pitching with him. He does well in Sims. He's just lights out for me. Morton, if he keeps pitching like he's pitching right now, say hello to Vance Worley in the lineup, because Vance Worley is pitching extremely well for me out of the bullpen, and I trust him in the lineup. And then in the bullpen, we've got Ernesto Fieri, the guy they acquired for the swap for Fieri and Grilli. Jeanmar Gomez is a solid guy in the middle relief role. I put him in. He does well for me. His sinker is a ground ball machine. Octavio Dotel, I signed at a free agency. This was a very interesting pickup for me because Octavio Dotel, 40 years old, 14 Major League seasons. He still has the good stats, but he's 40. He's got the potential, so he doesn't decrease as much as some people, but he's going to decrease. By the end of the season, I would not be surprised if he's in the 60s, high 60s, low 70s, but as of right now, he's a solid piece to have on our team. And then our setups, guys, I'm probably going to move Dotel forever because right now, Watson and Wilson are both solid for me. I don't want to have 2 left-handed setup guys, so what I most likely be doing is the first one of these guys to start struggling, they get swapped for Dotel, and that'll be one of the setup guys. Possibly Fieri, but most likely Dotel. But right now, Wilson and Watson, the sidearm guys, are solid for me, the sidearm lefties. And then Melanson is my closer. He's amazing. He comes in. His windup is great. He stands there. He shakes his booty when he comes in on the mound. I don't know if anybody guys realize that, but when he just stands there, he kind of shakes his booty, so I just like singing that because I'm weird. But also for pitching, something that's very interesting is Mr. Jameson Taillon. He's already a 78 overall. He's in AAA. In real life, he's not even on the 40-man roster because in real life he's injured. But in this, we have the luxury of Jameson Taillon not being injured. And we have the luxury of Jameson Taillon being MLB ready, essentially. But I don't want to call him up quite yet. I want him to keep dominating AAA, keep progressing until maybe he gets to an 80 mid-season, because I could see that happening. Gets to an 80 mid-season, then I call him up to help push for the playoffs. Because right now, he's solid. He's a very solid pitcher. 78 overall, 8 potential. He's only 22. And he's 2-1 in 5 games with a 3.31 ERA, 37 strikeouts, 1.38 WHIP, only a 258 average. He's very solid at AAA right now, and he will play a part in the team sometime in Season 1. Maybe not, but most likely. Brandon Compton, he was doing awful for me in the first month in the major, so I sent him down. He's injured right now, but he's doing decently better. He's doing a lot better, actually, in 4 games, .75 ERA, 1-0, 12 innings pitched. He's doing a lot better in AAA, so hopefully he can calm down, and maybe if I need an extra reliever, Compton comes up. Now, as far as the trades I made for this Pirates team, you guys have noticed that I've had Eduardo Nunez, I have Trevor Plouffe, and I have Franklin Gutierrez, and of course I have Dotel as well in the bullpen. Basically what I did was Dotel and Gutierrez were in free agency. They were just sitting there, and Dotel's a solid guy to have in the bullpen even though he's old. And Gutierrez is a solid, very solid fielder and a solid hitter against lefties. So he's a guy that I wanted to have on my team because he can help. He can be the 4th outfielder. He can even be a starter if I wanted him to. He's a very good outfielder. So I signed them in a free agency. But for the thing about Trevor Plouffe and Trevor Plouffe and Eduardo Nunez, the thing about them is I traded Trevor Plouffe and Eduardo Nunez. They're both on the Twins in real life. So let me find the Twins. They currently have... What I did was I gave them Gabby Sanchez. I traded away Gabby Sanchez, who's apparently raking for them with a 328 average, but he wasn't doing that for me. But anyways, Gabby Sanchez and this center fielder, Chris Dickerson. I traded them those two guys for Plouffe and Nunez. Unrealistic? Yes. But am I going to have fun with it? Yes, because YouTube for me is a thing. It's a very enjoyable hobby. I love doing YouTube. I love making the videos. But as far as me putting decisions because of YouTube over because of fun, that's not how I do things. That's not how I do things in the decision of actually doing a franchise. It's not how I do things in the decision of trades, signings. Of course, some of it goes into YouTube. Like, of course, I'm not gonna like trade Derek Jeter off the Yankees or something if I was the Yankees, but it's pretty much fun is what I do. That's what I like to do. I like to have fun. That's pretty much what I think everybody should be doing. But I personally, and I know my buddy Arios as well, fun is what we try to have, and if we're having fun, then that's going to translate into better broadcasts, better videos, because if we're not having fun with the series, we're not having fun playing the game mode, it's not going to be fun actually making the videos. So that's pretty much my reasoning behind why I make a few unrealistic trades here and there, because I got a comment in yesterday's video about Todd Frazier and Evan Gattis being unrealistic. Julio Teheran, because I'm not gonna lie, getting Julio Teheran, Alex Wood, and Evan Gattis for a reliever and a C potential second baseman is completely bogus, but it happened. I had fun with it. Julio Teheran was a key part to the team. Alex Wood, not so much. Evan Gattis, yes. All key parts of the team right there. I had fun with it. You guys loved Astros. Astros was a very big part of my channel. My channel's at where it is right now because of Astros. And very last but not least thing I will talk about right now for the first edition of the Inside the Buccos Clubhouse is Alan Hansen. He is a 21-year-old shortstop, a potential, and as you can see right now, my shortstop is Jody Mercer. Of course, I've got Nunez, and I sometimes play him at short, but Nunez is not the long-term solution, and neither is Jody Mercer. Of course, he's got to be potential, but he's 27 years old. He's not going to get much better. He's already 27. He's only played in 1 year. He was pretty much a career minor leaguer who happened to have one good year. Alan Hansen, on the other hand, is 21 years old with an A potential. He's already getting close to passing Jody Mercer. Alan Hansen is the shortstop of the future, possibly second base, but as of right now, he's the shortstop of the future. He needs to work on the fielding. As you can see right there, he only has 47 fielding. The reaction's there. I have him training mainly to do fielding right now. And Alan Hansen is going to be Alan Hansen and Jamison Taillon are two guys in AAA right now who are going to have very big parts in this team in the future. And this was not the last thing I'm going to talk about because, as of right now, my backup catcher is Chris Stewart. It is in real life. That's why I have him there. But Omir Santos is raking in AAA. He's got 4 home runs, 19 RBIs, 354 average, 427 OBP, 582 slugging. He is raking. If that's not raking, I don't know what raking is. So he is basically doing really well. He doesn't have the greatest of fielding. He has 81 blocking, 77 arm strength, so that's decent. I'm contemplating calling him up and sending Chris Stewart down to AAA, but the thing about that is Chris Stewart will have to clear waivers because he has no minor league options available. So, I mean, it's not like we're going to be losing a quality player because Chris Stewart is just a guy who's just there pretty much. So Omir Santos, you may very well see as the backup catcher at some point. But he's not the long-term solution. The long-term solution I'm hoping will be Reese McGuire right here. 19 years old, AA, B potential. He's already a solid defensive catcher. He needs to improve the hitting, but once he does that, he will be, hopefully, he could be the long-term solution at catcher for this franchise. But that's just long-term thinking, because I do planning on going a long time for this Pirates franchise, just like I did for the Astros until the unfortunate event happened of saving over it. But the thing about that, for this Pirates franchise, is we have precautions. We have 3 save files for the Buccos, because if you save over 1, I just recently did this one because I don't have these 2 saved yet, but whenever I stop playing this Pirates for the day, I save all 3 of these. So if you save over 1, you've got 2 more. So, precautions, precautions, precautions. And that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this episode of Buccos Franchise in this special edition of Buccos Clubhouse. Inside the Clubhouse, I don't know what I'm going to call it. Probably think of something clever while I'm uploading it, but that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. I'm JerseyBorn, and I am saying goodbye.